This is something that can help with building up that self-esteem, that self-image, because you're giving them an image to look at. It's something different than how they viewed themselves before. And they're taking those positive qualities and changing them into, hey, I've got those. And every time I look at this little symbol, I can recognize those positive qualities in myself. Not saying they have to turn into a puppy or a kitten. We've had some kiddos try that. No, we don't do that. But to see those positive qualities in themselves and have that symbol. And they know what that symbol stands for. Not everybody, like everybody didn't share, we don't know what your symbol stands for you, but you do. You know what's inside and why that's important, that you picked that. So making sure that, you know, you give them that sense of strength within themselves. How else do you think you can help them to see the positive in themselves? Anybody have any ideas? Yes.
Draw themselves as a superhero.
Draw themselves as a superhero. What would be their superpower? What is their superpower? I know you mentioned in the back that you work on emotions with your children. This is something, when you're building self-image, that is super important. Working on and building an understanding of emotions. Giving them names. Somebody call out an emotion. Happy, anger, sad. Jealous. Anxious. Proud. Annoyed. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Lonely. Excited. Frustrated. All right. Can I have a few of you that said of one of the emotions come up here and show us what that looks like? Can you come show us? Don't say what you're showing us. Just show us your emotion. You can do it. You can do it. Okay. You guessed it. Is that it? Excited? Okay.
That's kind of bad.
Proud. Good. Yay. Sad. We got sad. That could go lonely too, couldn't it? Any other emotions? Is that it? We're done? Good job. Right? No. We've got to give them a variety of words, a lot of emotions to think about. Jealousy, envy, love. Love is one of the hardest ones. What does love mean?
Exactly.
I love my dog. I love my kids. I love my students. Do I love them all the same? What's that going to look like? Right? So when you're talking about emotions, have them tell you what they think it means. Have them tell you what it means to them. How have they experienced it? And the reason is that gives them more power. It gives them more self-identity. It helps them to realize that it's not just scary out there. They're not alone. They're not helpless. They've got so much more within them that they can pull from, that they have to give. But sometimes it's hard to put a name with it. When they're being bullied, do you think it's just fear? Mad. They're mad, yes. So they've got sadness, fear, loneliness, helplessness, and who knows what other emotions going on. Which one do they pull out? How do we help them realize there's more going on than just one emotion?
We have to teach them those words. Mm-hmm. Not even have that thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you describe helpless? So helping them to put a definition with it. When they feel that way, when they don't feel that way is super important too. If it's if it's one that's challenging for them, reminding them that everyone has those feelings at some point in their life. They're not alone is very important as well. So giving them that strength and that power to have those emotions. And being okay that they have those emotions. Now, when they're sad and helpless and lonely, how they react to that. So cutting is not an action that we want them to continue. How can they do something different? Because that's dangerous. What can we do differently? How can we help them to see the positive to where they don't want to cut anymore? How, once they get past the cutting, do they like themselves again, even with the scars on their arms, on their legs, on their stomach? How do they deal with that? So finding those positive, they've got so much more within them than just those scared, helpless, mad feelings. And there's so much more than the scars that are on them. And everything happens for a reason, helping them realize, we don't know what it is. Maybe it's just that it made you a stronger person, but working with them.
So is the intervention for the bully about the same as it is to the victim?
A lot of it is self-identity, self-awareness, finding out what's going on around them as well. So you would do a lot of the same interventions for the bully because there is usually a lot of depression that has gone undiagnosed. And so that helps with that too, the self-identity. Anxiety. Bullies get anxious too. They have to plan. They have to plan what to do a lot of times. How am I going to carry out something mean to do? But that anxiety's in there. It's like, and so they need that support as well. Yes?
Do you know what percentage of the time the bully has been bullied themselves?
I don't have the percentage, but I will say working in this field for over 12 years, it's the majority at some point have been bullied by someone else. Or they've witnessed bullying occurring and somebody winning out. And so they want to do it.
Does the intervention for the parents look different when it's their child is the one who is bullying versus being bullied? Because I'm thinking that the parents, one of their initial reactions is going to be a lot of anger. Am I wrong?
No, a lot of times it's sadness. Like, why didn't I see it? And it is a lot of the same. I mean, it's very similar what happens with the bullied and the bullying, the bullies and the ones who are the victims. Because of the fact that, sorry, I don't have my other eyes on. Oh, I'm sorry. The question was, does it look different for the parents of someone who is the bully coming in for counseling? Are they more mad? They can be mad in the fact that their child, how could you do that to someone else? So they do have that anger side, but they also at the same time, they have mixed feelings too. It's kind of like, oh my goodness, what have I done that my child can feel okay doing that to someone else? So they kind of take some self-reflection in a negative way at that respect too. So.
There was a video on Facebook where a mother shaved her daughter's head for making fun of a girl with cancer. And it was very powerful. Somewhat disturbing, but the mom was just so upset. She just shaved her head right there and then.
And then the mom becomes the bully. So where does that work? I mean, if it was something where they talked about it in counseling and she said, you know what, I want to know what it's like to feel like that, and she decided to shave her head, would be different. I want to live the life like that now because I understand how that affected that person, would be different. The mom just going up and zoop, shaving her head just shows her what it's like to be a bigger bully. I can be bigger than you or have more authority over you, and I can do what I want to you, which creates more bullying habits and behaviors.
I worked with this little girl who was angelic at school, but a big bully at home with her siblings and her mom. And one of the things that she actually came up with was we were doing a sand tray therapy. And we identified different animals that represent different emotions. And then she represented anger, which is what she shows all the time as a lion. And then she identified different animals showing different emotions that she might be feeling. And really talking about how when the anger shows up, how she buries the other emotions, and then the lion is what you see. But when in fact you're actually embarrassed or humiliated or isolated, and then let the true emotions show. It was very powerful for her, so then that way that she had more of that awareness, and it was a lot like how you're talking about with the visual representation, is that showing what's really there, because the anger is just a good cop-out, basically.
Right.
When you're actually feeling something different.
Yes.
So.
And having so much going on. And what she was saying is that she used sand tray with a child to discuss the bullying that the child was doing at home, and used different animal figures to represent different emotions and how she reacted. And she used a tiger, a lion to be the anger, and she would hide the other emotions like under the sand and put the lion on top of them. So yes, sand tray is a wonderful way to get feelings out, because they're not having to always talk about it right away. They can do the hands-on manipulation with activities, and then you can process after they've gone through it and they've worked through the process themselves. Yes. Thank you. All right. Okay. So what y'all think about making an animal? Yeah? Did you realize you were an animal inside? You have those wonderful qualities. Everybody come up with at least a few good qualities? All right, very good. Okay. Another important one with self-image is, that's why I write little notes to myself, boundaries. Boundaries are so important with self-image. Why? We teach parents to put boundaries up with their kiddos, don't we? But what about the children? Where do they get to put their boundaries? What kind of boundaries could they create to build a self-image? The hardest one is changing their social and peer interactions. If they've got people in their life, especially the ones who have been bullying others for a long time, and they've kind of got other people who, yeah, go ahead, do it. They've got that egging on. How do they change their peers if they want to change and quit being a bully? How do they put those boundaries up? They've been my friend since kindergarten. What would you say to them? Well, when do you meet with those friends? When do you see them? It's probably in your extra time between classes. What could you do different? Putting up those boundaries. Sometimes it is kind of creating new habits, new rituals to get them with different peers to interact. How do you help them set up boundaries so other people will start trusting them? So if they've been known as a bully at school, it's kind of hard to build that trust back up. Any ideas? Get them involved in some kind of clubs at school. Maybe have them identify someone in the school that they wish was their friend. How do you make friends in a positive way without intimidation or fear? What is a friend? Have you ever had to think about how you made a friend? Like y'all were close enough to hug over here. What helped you? What helped you to have built that friendship?
We actually are best friends in real life.
For life? Oh, and she laughs. Well, you say that now.
Well, but we work together.
We were forced
You
to
work-
work in the same office
And she didn't like people.
initially.
Okay. Well, why did you become friends? Forever.
Common ground, working with the same families, the same business, the same everything. And then we just felt like two friendship love, I guess.
So they got their little office room. But, it's hard to think about. If you go back and you think about the people in your life, how do they come into your life? Do you want to keep everybody in your life? How do you work with that? Have you ever had to take somebody out of your life because they were dangerous or poisonous to your relationship or to who you are? You have to think about ways that we can help the children to maybe get that dangerous part out of their life and helping them to build those boundaries. And each one's so different because they have unique abilities, they have unique characteristics, they have unique family lives, and opportunities wherever they're at. So when you're working with them, find out those opportunities. Find out what's so unique about them so that you can build that up so that they do feel safe going out and making new friendships, building new relationships, getting themselves a voice in a positive way. Because if they have been bullied at some point, how do they get a voice to deal with that? Maybe they just want to tell you about that bullying experience, but just letting them do that may be enough for them, but they may need to tell their parents or tell someone else. What if the problem is a bully at home? You've got those really kiddos that can do no wrong in a home. Ever heard of like golden children? And then someone kind of turns into the scapegoat child, and they seem to be in trouble all the time. And it's like, wait, but I'm not the one doing it at home. I'm not the one making the problems, but I'm the one getting caught. Like we said, the one who gets caught doing something. How do you tell the parents? How does that child get the voice to tell their parents what's really going on? It's like, they're not going to believe me. That's usually what I get. They're not going to believe me. That I'm bad. I can't do anything right at home. I'm always wrong. Helping to build them up, help them to get that voice. They're not going to go that day and go talk to their parents, but you give them that opportunity to bring their parents into session with you, maybe, and let them talk to their parents with you there, knowing that you're supporting them and you're understanding what they're going through, and maybe you can help their parents understand what they're going through. And maybe they can change the way they view their child, and the child can change the way they view their parents. Because maybe they've kind of stepped back from their parents and not allowed their parents to understand what's going on. So you can help building up that relationship, helps build up that self-identity as well. Getting that relationship going is super important. And this is for everybody, the One Good Thing Challenge. I tell when I'm working with children who have been bullied or are the bullies, both, you know what? Find something good in every day and tell somebody. Have somebody that you're going to tell a good thing about your day every day. And if you've got a challenge, ask them for help. Because we need to let our youngsters, our little ones know, or however old, that they have somebody they can talk to, that they have somebody they can trust. We need to let them identify somebody in their life that they can trust. And how do you do that? So identifying that person and having that person they can go to and tell that positive thing. We want them to come up with good things each day. Challenge each person to, especially in rush hour traffic. Find one good thing about that day when you're sitting in traffic, right? Kind of love that part. And then that can spill over into the family. Because the family starts noticing they're seeing more positive, they're doing more positive, they're talking more positive. It's infectious. The positive can be as infectious as the negative. And that's what we want to change over. The parents may refuse to come into counseling. Well, we help that child as much as we can. Not every parent, they may come in because the school said I have to take my child to counseling or they're not allowed to come back to school. I've had that. It's not me that's the problem. So, okay, well, let's give this child the skills to work with what they have in their life. Let's build them up. Let's help them find that support person. So we work with them on many ways. And once they start the positive side, it does get infectious. The family will start maybe coming in, what are you doing with my child? Why are they smiling more now? It's like, oh, would you like to come into counseling now with us and see what's going on? Let your child tell you about what's going on, and can start pulling them in with that. In the schools too, they can see that change going on. You might not get as lucky as getting them to come in when there's nothing negative going on, but it doesn't hurt to have that experience. Sometimes the parents do come in with that.